as sans a summer, Bryn.
No interference from the Enclave?
None. The connection is much stronger than outside the Veil.
That's reassuring.
More arcs!
And they're clearly happy we're here.
Arcs were supposed to be used for manual labor. Hostility is strange.
Fresh water, in walking distance of the campsite.
I'll set up a purifier for it and collect later.
Hydra's Brook, aptly named for the spirit of water that flows.
Creatures could be hunted for food. Any of these plants look edible?
Dan will put anything in his mouth if he's curious enough. Whatever he doesn't vomit, we'll eat.
Just try not to poison him.
This must be Hydra's lake.
Lakes are still. Why name it after the spirit of flowing water?
That's the edge of how far I can push the scry. It'd be like in the Veil's shadow all over again. End of the lifeline, Bryn. I was right. It is an ark. A great one.
It isn't moving. I'll get a closer look.
An ark of the stricken earth, I would guess. Any chance you could bring a piece of it back to camp?
Doubt my sword is strong enough.
Too bad. Strange that it's just standing there.
Maybe the second loom gate will tell us more. Enclave constructs are believed to be interconnected in many ways.
sledding? Maybe solo would know. This must be the second loom gate.
What's covering the base?
I'll check it out. A lot of debris on the platform. I could clear it with kinetic magic.
What about the loom gate itself? Is it functional?
No sign of life, but see that cloud of raw magic? It's leaking from the broken pipe near the edge of the platform.
So we have two powerless loom gates and a tangle leaking out of an enclave construction. I wonder if Lane still has that treatise we picked up in Taza.
And he's gone. Good news. Lane found a shortcut back to our camp for you, and we've got the Wisp working.
The wisp?
Watcher's Wisp. Channel a little magic into your earpiece. I'll redirect it to guide you from the scry to the shortcut.
I see the path.
Good. That should take you to the shortcut.
That should be it. According to my map, it's a man-made tunnel that grants easy access to the way station.
Bryn's back. Let's fill her in.
We believe we found a way to activate the Loom Gate in our camp and in Glintwood Hollow.
With the Loom Gates active, we could expand our search of the Enclave. Who knows what we might find?
The potential for discovery is endless.
Agreed. So, how do we repair a Loom Gate?
What made the Enclave remarkable was not merely their constructs, but their ability to power them. It has long been rumored that beneath our very feet exists an extensive magical network known as the Tapestry. The pipe you found in Glintwood Hollow is proof of its existence. It must be a conduit that directs raw magic to the Loom Gates as a source of power.
And the tangle that formed around it was a leak.
Precisely. Our theory is that patching the rupture will restore power to the gate.
Thankfully, Seven Lane have a plan for that.
We don't know a lot about Arcs, but I dug up some old stories from logs that we inherited from a weaver band that broke apart. In notes dated before the surge, this band managed to get one of the enchanters who worked on the Arcs riotously drunk and talking.
Apparently, the Arcs have a thin carapace between their skin and their armor plates that's nigh immune to magic, and can be separated in segments. A magically resistant material like that would be perfect to seal a rupture in the tapestry.
So I need to cleave this carapace off the Arc? There's no way my sword is strong enough.
Come see me and we can make some improvements to Sola's forge. Which, in turn, means...
I could hone your sword so we can cleave the carapace, no problem.
We'll talk.
One more thing. You'll need to remove the debris on the Loom Gate's platform so that we've got a clear workspace once the patch is forged.
Easy enough?
Everyone's got a part to play in this. Let's get to work.
Nothing strikes a good balance. Did you see the size of that mine entrance? Amazing, isn't it?
You mean the one behind that huge deactivated arc?
That's the one. Given the size of the entrance, I can only imagine how huge the mine must have been. Their yields must have been incredible.
I've heard the rich resources are a big part of why Weavers first settled this area.
The land's hostile, but they knew it was worth the risk. Ores from the Enclave are high grade, very pure.
Two wonders of enchanting, an arc and loom gates. We can touch them, smell them if we want. And they don't work. Maddening.
Did you?
Did I what?
Smell the loom gate.
A little, but that's beside the point. But mossy, hints of sage, a subtle yet full-bodied undertone of dirt.
Amazing. Well, now we just need to get it working.
Oh yes, should our plan succeed.
And if not?
Then it is time for Plan B, which I have not yet thought up, but I'm sure we won't need. They are quite the thing, aren't they? Tangles, I mean.
After what it was like outside the Enclave, the ones in here are child's play.
It is an enduring mystery as to why the Veil's shadow is flooded with them. I did not expect that they would be so common inside the Enclave.
Are they common anywhere?
No. They were theoretical until the Veil went up. And then, of course, they became political.
What exactly are tangles?
To our best understanding, magic is more than just energy. As far as we know, raw magic is a physical substance, but normally invisible. Our mantles gather it from the air as we move, but tangles prove it can concentrate on its own.
What did you mean by political?
The surge was specifically catastrophic towards enchanted equipment. Explosions, out-of-control activations, you name it. And tell me, logically, who were the most likely people to have enchanted items on or around them?
The rich and powerful?
Well done. So, in a single moment, you have what seem to be hundreds of assassinations.
And decades of war followed.
As I said, political.
You said they were theoretical. What did you mean?
Lane and I have been digging. The only research on tangles we could find were thought experiments until the Veil's appearance. As you might expect, that research was done here in the Enclave. Apparently, they did not publish everything they knew.
Thanks, Dom. That helps me understand them better.
Ultimately, the most practical advice I can give is very simple. Don't stand in the murder cloud. So look, this plan to repurpose Carapace to fix the Loomgate's conduit? Pure elegance.
Sam's idea.
I couldn't help overhear Dar mentioning the surge's impact on the politics of our lands.
You really do pay attention to what happens around here, don't you?
A survival instinct. Growing up in Judea, you realize the walls have ears. If some of those ears aren't yours, you're at a disadvantage. That was actually the problem, you see?
The problem?
After the surge cascaded through the Maida, every kind of long-range magical communication broke down. So you have magical chaos and no way to confirm if your nation is under attack. You assume the worst and retaliate. Judea, my homeland, was hit hard. Our trade fleets had become rather dependent on magical navigation.
And they couldn't find their way home.
Or at least to a safe harbor. You could argue the loss of our fleets was worse than any individual war.
Because the trade network suddenly collapsed. My parents used to talk about shortages during those years. It got rough, they said.
Yes. And the worst wars are fought over resources when people are desperate. I very much hope we can find the true cause of all that suffering. And a way out to share it with the rest of the world after we do.
Hey, I know we need to fix up the forge, but before we do, I'd like to talk to you about something.
Sure. What's up?
I owe you an apology.
I have been wondering where we stand since our last talk.
Yeah, look, I shouldn't have freaked out. You were just making a joke, and I took it poorly. I was just under a lot of stress with everything that happened.
You mean when we ran for our lives from a death cloud into a lost land?
Yeah, that. And losing supplies, and Aurea getting injured, and then having a point takeover who...
Lacks experience.
At the time, that's what it seemed like. But ever since we arrived, you've been more than proving yourself. You made finding food and water a top priority. That's when I realized our Weaver band is in good hands. I underestimated you when I shouldn't have, and frankly, I was a jerk about it.
It's okay, Cass.
No, it's not. I really am sorry. I hope we can have a better relationship moving forward.
Thanks. That means a lot. Let's just start fresh, okay?
I'd love that.
How are you feeling now that we're starting to get settled?
If this is settled, I have a hard time letting my guard down when there are so many unknowns. We're still missing supplies, and our campsite isn't half what it should be. Can't see myself relaxing and smelling the roses anytime soon.
The role of point seemed really serious to you. Can I ask why that is?
Because it is serious. If you screw up, we all die.
That seems extreme.
Think of it this way. Let's say we're low on food in the desert. If you scout 3 leagues in the wrong direction, we're all 3 leagues further away from food we need to survive.
Right. I guess I see what you mean. Still sounds like an extenuating circumstance, though.
And being the first to enter the Enclave in almost half a century isn't an extenuating circumstance.
Point taken, I suppose. You know, when talking to Lane, they mentioned that you actually trained to become point yourself. I was wondering if that had something to do with why we weren't getting along.
Oh, no. Being point just wasn't for me. That's all.
So, I know Sola mentioned improvements to her forge meant being able to hone my sword. What does that entail exactly?
Unfortunately, the missing supplies I mentioned.
Is there a way I can help you restock?
Right now, we reserve the materials you bring back for your armors and weapons, because that's the priority. But if there's anything you can spare, I can repurpose them into supplies for our campsite.
Sounds simple enough.
Glad to hear it. Aurea, it's Lane, by the way.
So, how often do I need to return to camp? Do you need me to report back frequently?
That's entirely up to you. Points privilege. You're the one taking the risks, so you can gauge how far and how long you can push. From time to time, I or the folks around the camp might have requests, but we'll defer to your priorities. And if you get into trouble, I'll pull you to safety. Might lose some resources, but that's a small price to pay.
Got it. A lot of responsibility.
Points privilege.
Can I ask how you knew to pack up the camp outside the Vale?
The tangles were shifting. They'd been static the entire time. And then, suddenly, just as an arc deflects a wave of Drake's breath, they start to move. That's no coincidence.
How do you know to run to me, then?
The tangles closed down the path the caravan took in, and it wasn't like I was going to abandon you.
These are a great start. With the supplies we've got already, we could shape up our campsite. We lost a lot of stuff when we were running for our lives, and frankly, our setup is only half of what it should be. But we can rebuild.
What do you have in mind?
Like we discussed, Sola could forge better weapons with improvements to her smithy. Like honing your sword so it can cut through arc armor. Alternatively, Dom could certainly care better for our mantles with new tools for weaving. And to keep you in fighting form, having Lane's alchemical tools in top form is invaluable. There's no end to the improvements we could make around here. And everyone's lives would be safer for it.
What about you?
Me? Oh, I don't need anything.
Come on, there must be something.
I mean, would new shelves be nice? Sure. I also have some ideas for your supply pouches. But don't worry about me. I'm fine. Right now, improving Sola's forge is more important.
I know our band has made the most of what we've got so far, but who wouldn't like a fresh coat of paint? This is a great idea. You can count on me.
Thanks, Bren. Sola is delighted with the improvements to her forge. She can refine your sword as soon as you'd like. Great work, Bryn.
Turns out we make a pretty good team. This campsite will be top of the line in no time.
Yeah. We're definitely going to need to start directing a water flow to the camp. Maybe even install a fountain in the back. Would help to get a garden going in here too. Fruits, vegetables, medicinal herbs. Oh, that reminds me, we'll need the... What?
Do you ever take a break? You know, to enjoy a job well done?
Sure. Sometimes. Once there are fewer fires to put out, I'll relax. I swear.
You know, I've had a lot rattling around in my head since we got here too. Sure, there are so many new discoveries. That's exciting. But we're also trapped inside a hostile environment. Balancing the discoveries with survival is hard. Sometimes it just gets so loud in my head, you know?
Yeah, I do. It's like waves crashing down on me from all sides. All these awful thoughts of what could happen keep dragging me under until... Never mind.
You can tell me.
Until I can't breathe. Or it feels that way.
I get it.
You do.
Completely. Maybe we could slow down and catch our breath together sometime. It would definitely help me.
Maybe. I'd better get back to work, but this was nice.